Robert Jacobs is a historian of nuclear technologies and radiation technopolitics and joins us live from Hiroshima, Japan now. So great to have you on the programme. Thank you for taking the time. So, is this safe or not? How worried should we be?
Well, it's not safe. It's a matter of degrees. I mean, any exposure to radiation is not good. So no exposure to radiation and no addition of radiation into the ecosystem is safe. The scale of risk just differs. So it definitely would be better not to dump this radioactive wastewater into the ocean. However, it's unlikely to cause catastrophic immediate health effects. The health effects will be widely dispersed and slow to emerge. So it's not something that's going to quickly make a lot of people sick, but it's certainly not a good thing.
Okay, and do you think other companies, other people, other countries, other governments might follow suit here in regards to different liquids, chemicals going into our sea? Does it set a dangerous precedent, for example?
Well, that precedent was set long ago. There's been nuclear waste dumping at sea really since the beginning of the industry. However, certainly for any country that's operating a nuclear power plant, there's reason to support this because this is the management of an accident, and were they to find themselves in a similar situation with a dire accident, they would like to be able to conduct themselves in a way that that's cost effective from their point of view and that has the least political damage to themselves. So I think in a lot of ways, many of these governments, for example, the South Korean government is sort of a partner in arms in some ways of the Japanese government. And both the Korean public and the Japanese public, may oppose both their governments in this case, but the governments are more aligned.
You said cost effective there. Do you think that's what's behind all of this then?
Absolutely. For example, there's a lot in these tanks. There's a lot of different radionuclides, a lot of different radioactive particles. It differs from tank to tank, according to TEPCO and the Japanese government's own assessments. These different radioactive particles decay over different periods of time. So, for example, if you were to hold water in tanks for 50 years or 100 years, there would be a significant decrease in the levels of a lot of the contaminants. But that would be expensive to do, and it would also fill a large area of northern Japan with holding tanks holding these waters for the next century. That would be, from a humanitarian or from a safety and health point of view, that would be the smartest thing to do, the safest thing to do, but there's a high cost to it. This isn't all the water. This is just the water they've stacked into these tanks over these 10 years, these 12 years. This will continue. They'll continue putting water into tanks. They'll continue to have to hold water for some period of time. So it would be very expensive to do it the right way, and it's a lot cheaper to simply dump it.
You haven't filled me with a lot of confidence here, Robert, I must say. It is quite concerning, isn't it? So the best case scenario is simply more expensive, isn't it? So it boils down to that. But what else can be done? What would be the other options then that maybe aren't so expensive and maybe are cost effective, but not doing what they're planning to do?
Well, there aren't any. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. This is what happens when you have a large radiological disaster, is that the options are all bad options. And so you simply choose between the ones that have a high monetary cost and the ones that have a high political cost, but there's no simple way to grapple with it.
Okay, Robert Jacobs, thank you so very much indeed for your expertise on the topic there. A historian of nuclear technologies and radiation technopolitics, joining us live from Hiroshima in Japan.